So here Lord Kapila is further describing the form of the Lord, which is so beautiful. Something which is very catching to the eyes, to the senses. Automatically our mind becomes attached, our mind becomes absorbed in that object. In the material world, we find we are attracted to material beauty. It is stated by Lord Kapila, two things which binds the living entity to this material world is when an attractive woman a person becomes attracted by the beauty of attractive woman, and when a person takes service from a woman, eventually it will be his downfall. It is said that the beauty of woman in this material world is so created that just by moving her eyebrows, she can capture great personality who may have captured so many kingdoms. Suppose there is a king and he has captured many kingdoms, but that great king can be captured just by the movement, slight movement of woman's eyebrow. That is the kind of material attraction in this material world, and that is the cause of bondage. That is how this material world is called Maithuna Agara. It is a place where men and women are attracted to each other, and it causes bondage life after life. So, the solution, the Vedic literature says, to overcome the captivating beauty of this material world is only when we surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. It is only by His grace that one can overcome the attraction to woman. Otherwise, it is not possible. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Turattaya Mameva Prapadhyante Maya Metang Tarantite. If one surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, then he can cross over this material world. Otherwise, it is not practical, it is not possible. Just like we have been hearing and reading that every living entity in this material world is captivated by kama. We are burning in the desire of kama, and that is, our situation is called as Madana Dahana, always burning in our heart, desires to satisfy And Krishna is called Madana Mohana. He can attract millions of Cupid. Not one Cupid, not two Cupid, millions of Cupid he can attract. So somehow or other, if we become attracted to Madana Mohana, then actually the stringent shackles by which Maya is binding us will become slackened. Then only it is possible. Just like it is very practical example we find in the life of Yamunacharya. He was a king, and being in the situation of king, he had all kinds of facility to associate with women. But once he became attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, he says, Yad avadhi mam chitta Krishna padar vindayor. From the time my mind has become attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, Nava nava rasum udyatum rantum asita. Every moment I am able to taste newer and newer taste, rasas. So, if we are actually practicing properly Krishna consciousness, then our consciousness should be filled with newer and newer taste. If it is not, and if we are still thinking about punaha punah charvita charvananam, trying to chew that same old taste, woman, attraction for all those things, then we should understand that somewhere I am not practicing properly. And then further he says, Tat avadhi batanari sangame smaryamane bhavatu mukha vikara shushtu nishtivanam cha. From that time, I have become attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. Newer and newer tastes are arising in my heart. And at that time, if I think about my past life, if I think about that as a king when I was there, then I used to have the privilege of so many women. Nari Sangama, association with women. Bhavatu Mukha Vikar, my face turns in distaste and I spit at that thought. So, this is the meaning of Rasovarjam. When a person derives Param Drishtva Nivartate, when a person has developed a higher taste, then automatically he can give up lower taste. So, if we understand the seriousness that actually the most important bondage in this material world is the attraction between man and woman, then we will not take it very lightly. Then we will understand that actually if this is the cause of bondage of the living entity in this material world, then we should be very cautious about it. So, here it is said, Apichya Darshanam Shashvat. If we analyze logically, one can understand that actually what beauty is there in this material world? It is all temporary beauty. No one remains beautiful forever. There are so many factors. Something appears beautiful in the beginning, but over a period of time, that same object does not give us that same kind of taste anymore. This is material world. This is the characteristic of material object. We try to derive some taste, whether it is the beauty of the woman, but the same beauty does not give us same taste after some time, and then we look out for other beauties. So we should analyze this, that actually one may wonder why this attraction between man and woman is there. Because originally it is there in Krishna. Originally, in its original form, which is called prema, it exists in the absolute. Janamadiyasya yataha. Otherwise, from where does it come? If this attraction is not there in the absolute, how it has come? Nothing can come without it being in the Supreme Lord. So, the difference is that when Krishna wants to enjoy, it is his own internal potency, it is his own internal energy. That attraction between Krishna and Srimati Radharani or the gopis is not the perverted attraction of this material existence, where a man is attracted to woman. It is not something like that. That is called as prema. And the same thing, when we try to imitate in this material world, it gets converted into kama. And very simple definition of what is the difference between kama and prema, it looks alike from outside. Looks like something similar. Because kama is nothing but transformation of prema, perverted transformation. Difference is, in prema, one tries to satisfy the desires of the Supreme Lord. That is called prema. Krishnendriya priti vancha. And when one tries to satisfy his own senses, that is called as kama. So, when Krishna is attracted to Srimati Radharani, it is not attraction to some material woman. When the devotees become attracted to Krishna, if they have to give up attraction to material woman, material beauty, then how Krishna will be attracted to material beauty? If a devotee has to give up in order to be attracted to Krishna, so many great personalities, they have given up all this so-called material beauty. Just like even Yamunacharya, when he is saying, he has given up all this kind of material beauty. So how Krishna can be attracted by so-called material beauty? That is what we have to understand. So, if we at all want solution to our kama, then the only solution is if we become attracted to Radha and Krishna. That is the only solution. And that is what Lord Kapila is describing, that actually Krishna is so beautiful. Here it is said, Apichya darshanam shashvat. He is very pleasing, very beautiful to look at. And that is also not temporary. Here somebody is beautiful to look at for some time, and he is not all beautiful. Somebody is attracted to someone, somebody else may not be attracted. Everybody is not attracted to somebody whom some people think to be beautiful. Isn't it? Whereas Krishna, he is called Sarva Akarshana. He attracts everyone. In Krishna Leela we find even inanimate objects are attracted to Krishna. River Yamuna is attracted to Krishna. Creepers are attracted to Krishna. Trees are attracted to Krishna. Birds are attracted to Krishna. All living entities, animate, inanimate, everyone is attracted to Krishna. That is the beauty of Krishna. That opulence of beauty exists purna, in completeness in Krishna. That is the Aishwarya of the Lord. So, Krishna is eternally beautiful. This is one aspect which Lord Kapila is saying. Then, Sarva Loka Namaskritam. He is worshipable. He is worshipped by all the inhabitants of all the lokas. In this material world, somebody may be worshipped by some few people. Devatas may be worshipped by some few. But there is no one who is worshipable, who is worshipped by everyone. But the Supreme Lord, He is worshipped by each and every one of all there are spiritual lokas, there are material lokas. All the inhabitants of all the lokas worship Krishna. So in the spiritual world it is spontaneous worship. In the material world, the pure devotees worship spontaneously. The neophytes worship with rules and regulation, and even non-devotees forcefully they worship Krishna. They are made to worship Krishna forcefully. It is just like the criminal may be thinking, I am not under the laws of government, but he is made to follow the laws of government when he is put behind the prison bar. Similarly, Krishna says that throughout his life one may keep on denying who is God, where is God, just like Hiranyakashipu. But then God appears to him in the form of death, takes away everything, and he has to surrender. And that death is nothing but Krishna. Mrityu sarva harascha aham. Krishna says that. So forcefully he is made to surrender to another form of Krishna in the form of Kala, where Krishna takes away everything from him. So everybody has to surrender, everybody has to worship, everybody has to follow Krishna, directly or indirectly. So, this is another feature of the Supreme Lord. Sarva Loka Namaskritam. Then, Santam Vayasi Kaishore. It is explained in the Vedic literatures that even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Adi Purusha, He is the oldest person, but He always looks ever fresh youth. It is not an imagination by some poet. In all the Vedic scriptures it is explained. Krishna never ages beyond 16, which is just beginning of youth. There are 3 stages of life. One is called boyhood, from 0, when a child is just born, up to the 5 years of age. Bala. Then it is called as Poganda, 6 years up to 15 years. And from 16 years onwards it is called Kaishora. So here you can see Santam Vayasi Kaishora. That youth is just beginning, that is called as Kaishora. When a person becomes completely youth, he is called Yovana. But when the youth is just beginning, boyhood is just over, so that is called as Kaishora. So this is how Krishna, his body is, his form is. And the Lord, one can easily understand from his disposition, from his facial expression, that the Supreme Lord is always very eager to benedict his devotees. Bhritya anugaraha kataram. Just like the devotees are very eager to serve the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is very eager to benedict his devotees, to bless his devotees, to give mercy to his devotees. So this is a very important aspect devotees should always remember. Krishna is very merciful. We should always expect mercy of the Lord. This is what Rupa Goswami also sings in his song. He says, even though it is very difficult to see Krishna, even Brahma is aspiring to get the vision of just the toenail of Krishna. And it is very difficult, even Brahma, for even Brahma to get the darshan of toenail of Krishna is very difficult. But I have a desire that yes, I want to see Krishna. So, there he says, it is because Krishna is very merciful. Krishna can give, Krishna can bestow, he can make impossible as possible. That is the meaning of Krishna. And that mercy of Krishna is very easily achieved by getting the mercy of his pure devotee. Directly, it will be very difficult to get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. But somehow or other, if we are able to please the pure devotee of the Lord, then it is very easy to get the mercy of the Lord. So, Prabhupada explains this feature of the Lord very nicely. Prabhupada says, just like the father is always very eager, the father is so much eager, any father, he may be a very rich man, but he also wants to see that my son becomes even greater than me. See? And the Supreme Lord is everyone's father. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvayonishu kaunteya sambhavami murtayo yaha tasam mahadyoni brahma aham bija pradapata. That for all the yonis, for all the species of life, I am the seed-giving father. And that is how we find in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very eager. He is saying, foolishly you have adopted so many so-called dharma. Give up all of them. Sarvadharman paritajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Isn't it? This is the eagerness of the Lord. He is ordering the living entity, give up. Foolishly you have taken up so many things. Give up all of them and just surrender unto me. And I will mitigate all your fears, all your so many different kinds of sinful activities and reactions which you may be afraid of. I will see to it that they are all vanquished. Just surrender unto me alone. So there we can see the eagerness of the Supreme Lord. Then one may wonder, but we are seeing so many people dissatisfied, they do not have enough to eat in their life. So is God not merciful to them? Isn't it? Because people, they think about mercy of God in terms of facilities available for people. They are not able to appreciate mercy of God in the form of sometimes punishment. Isn't it? Just like when the father, he is seeing that one of his son, he is getting astray from moral principles, from righteous path, then father may punish him by slapping him, putting him under difficulty so that he may come back to the track. Isn't it? That is also the mercy of father. It is not that the father is not merciful to him. So, it is not from the external that God is unkind to certain people and kind to certain people. Krishna says that very clearly. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I am equal to everyone. But still Krishna says, I am disposed towards those who worship me with faith. You see, because they are dependent. The devotees voluntarily, they have given up dependence on themselves and on others, and they are totally dependent on the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord also reciprocates, that He gives them complete protection, because He is totally dependent. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam state bhajamyaham. Somebody is partially dependent. No, I will depend on my bank balance. I will depend on technology. I will depend on modern science. I will depend on so many other things, my relatives, my children are there. And maybe little bit I will depend on God also. So God, what can He do? If we want, because that is our freedom, that is also His mercy. We are free, that we choose His shelter or we choose something else. And even for making us to understand that why are you dependent on so many other shelter, Krishna comes. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. This is called dharmasya glani. In order to rectify this glani, Krishna comes again and again. Sambhavami yuge yuge. That is also Krishna's mercy. And in spite of that also, when we fail, then still the Lord comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That does not matter. You do not know how to surrender, I will teach you how to surrender. You do not know how to love God, I will teach you how to love God. These are all anugraha, kataram. The Lord is very eager to bestow His mercy on the living entities. So, This is another very important aspect of the Lord. And that is how we find Uddhava was very attached to the Lord. When he was describing to Maitreya Rishi the personal association he had with the Lord, he was unable to speak for some time. And then finally he was able to speak because his throat was choked with ecstasy, just remembering the Supreme Lord. So there he tells to Maitreya Rishi that how one can live in separation from that Supreme Lord, who is so atura, who is so eager that even the demon who comes to kill him, he is eager to even benedict them. Who is eager to give place to Putana as mother. So how can one live in separation from that Supreme Lord? He is so kind. So this is a very important aspect of the Supreme Lord. His kindness upon the living entities, and that is a general kindness because they are not dependent. That is also kindness of the Supreme Lord. When atheist is killed, that is also kindness of the Lord. Because the more he does sinful activities, more he will suffer. So Krishna comes and finishes his so-called sinful activity in one shot. That is also kindness. And someone, you can imagine if Krishna is so kind to someone who is inimical to Krishna, how much more kind he will be to somebody who loves Krishna. That is what one should think. This example is given not to think that, okay, from tomorrow then I will practice enmity towards Krishna because he is very kind. Why we want to take the kindness of the Lord in the form of a slap from the Lord? Why not we take the kindness from the Lord in the form of embrace from the Lord? Isn't it? Just like the Lord embraced his devotees in Vrindavan. So, Lord Kapila will further describe more such beautiful aspects of the Supreme Lord, the glories of the Supreme Lord, that we will discuss in the classes. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.